Hello once again, my name's Alan and I'm the Product Owner Enthusiast. I'm here once more taking you through some really great tips on how to be a product owner. Today I want to take you through a day in the life of a product owner. A lot of people think they know what a product owner does, but there's a lot of misconception. It's a relatively new role, certainly hitting the mainstream more recently. And so what I want to do is lay out a typical day for me as a product owner and kind of what it's like day to day. So use this information to try and give yourself a better perspective on this role. If you're at all interested, this is an excerpt from a lecture on a course on Udemy called The Definitive Guide on How to Get a Job as a Product Owner. If you're at all interested in this course, use the information and the discount code below to go take a deeper look. Hope you enjoy. So it can take many forms. I would say the one I'm going to outline here is a pretty typical one for me, and one I would say is the most common for most product owners. I'm going to start off the day with a requirements workshop. I've pulled together key representatives from the business. I've got compliance, I've got governance, branding, marketing. I've also got key representatives from the business stakeholder groups as well as the sponsor so that we can talk through requirements for a new piece of functionality. I'm going to run this as a sort of a story mapping session. So we're going to map the customer journey and then off the back of that break out maybe some new features to support the product and maybe a basis for user stories for me to develop out in more detail later. We might even use this session if we have time to do a little bit of light prioritization. Moving on from that, at 10 o'clock, I'm going to go for a meeting on Project X. Now, Project X has a real dependency on my project. They're delivering significant portion of the back-end services that will mean that my product, my app, is actually going to function. I need to understand what they're planning on delivering and when. Understanding those dependencies, the risks associated to them are absolutely integral if I'm going to ensure that we can deliver the product and the maximum value as soon as we can. Coming from that, I've got sprint refinement, 11 to 11:45, so a bit shorter than the normal I would use for refinement. But we're going to go through with the Scrum team and refine tickets for future sprints. So for this one, we're going to look at the next sprint. We're about halfway through this sprint and we want to make sure we've got enough tickets ready for sprint planning in about a week's time. I've already prepared these requirements. I've got them on the backlog. I feel like I've written great requirement and great acceptance criteria. But as these sessions should go, the developers, the rest of the Scrum team, they ask really good questions from their perspectives about the acceptance criteria and the requirements, ensuring we've got full alignment and understanding. This is going really well this session, and actually we move on to then estimating those tickets. We have some story points to it, and we've got a couple of tickets ready for sprint planning. So pretty successful meeting. Wow, so that was quite a morning. I've had a quick bite to eat, and let's see how this afternoon goes. So first off, at 12:30, we've got the product performance meeting. I'm going to meet with the product manager, and we're going to have a bit of talk about some metrics that we've got from a third-party system that we've been using, a heat map on the product's usage by our customer base. Some really interesting information here about what they are and aren't using. A couple of the features we delivered in the last quarter are proving really valuable and really popular. But there is one that isn't as popular and isn't being used so much. And we're having some negative feedback as well. So I'm going to take some feedback from here. I'm going to work with the product manager and we're going to think about how we can enhance this, how we can make that feature more useful to the end customers. So that was a great meeting. Got a lot of good information. Got a lot of actions I'm going to take away from it. But there's no time for that. I'm going to go straight on to an urgent blocker. We need to catch up with some of the Scrum team and the testers because they found a significant bug. There's a real showstopper for the release we wanted to do in the next couple of days. This is going to take some time because we're going to have to really talk through what the root cause is and where the issues may lie, what we can actually do to move forward and what options we have available. We're going to have to make some quick, snappy decisions here. And as a product owner, I'm going to have to really think about whether we would risk delaying the release and delaying other important features and functionality that was going to be released, or if we could potentially push this back, how severe this issue is to actually be worth kind of putting a hold. So a lot of things to discuss here, maybe a lot of others I need to touch base with after this call as well. I'll come out of that urgent blocker meeting and then I move into prioritising the backlog. I've got a bit of time in my calendar that I've carved out because I really need to make sure that the backlog is clear for my development team to actually understand what needs to be built upon next, what we're going to refine next. If I don't stay on top of this, the next refinement's going to be a complete waste of time. So I'm really spending the time to work up those requirements, add in some of the acceptance criteria, and actually learn from the day, take some information from the day, generate a few extra requirements. Certainly after that product performance meeting, I've got some new things I think we could be working on, and I've agreed with the product manager that we should bring forwards. So that takes me to the end of the day. I think that gives you a pretty good sense of what a typical day would look like. It's pretty fast paced, it's exciting, and it's definitely rewarding. I definitely feel like I've made a real impact, and I'm a key aspect in this process that is helping us move forwards. But it's definitely challenging, and it definitely has a lot of moving parts.